Hi, everybody. Hi, Carrie.
Hey there.
So, Carrie and I have been having an interesting discussion. We've been talking about the feelings surrounding having all of our kids home for the holidays. And we know what it looks like from our perspective, but we had the idea to poll kids, like from teens to young adults, to find out their perspectives when the families are together again. Like, what do they see from the adults in the house? And as always, our kids, whoever we spoke to, everyone surprised us with what they had to say. Would you agree, Carrie?
Yeah, I feel like kids know so much more than we give them credit for. Like if we were just to stop and ask them, how do you really feel about that? Or how do you see me as your mom or your parent? I think that they would have some really interesting feedback to give us, but I don't know sometimes if they're always as comfortable sharing directly with us as we would want them to be. So I feel like all of this information that we've accumulated from teenagers, young adults, adults is really, really helpful. And I'm taking a lot of it in using it in my own life, but I think it's really important that we share with other parents. And if we're just asking you to maybe be open minded, we're not pointing fingers,
Yes.
but this is helpful information that we all want to hear. Not that we're giving you a report card, oh, how are you doing in your parenting? But
No, of course
just
not.
listen to what they have to say. It can just make our relationships better.
And stronger. I think what you say is so important, Carrie. Let's all listen with an open mind. And I love the expression. I know I'm probably going to mess it up here, but if you want good listeners, you have to listen. So let's just listen to what our kids had to say and go from there.
All right. So maybe we should start with one of the comments about listening.
Go for it.
So, one piece of feedback was when a kid is telling, and I'm going to say kid, it doesn't,
It
it
could be
could be
any age,
teenager, boy,
teenage to,
girl,
yep.
young adult,
hmm
adult, but I'm just going to call them kids.
We're not
It's,
revealing our sources.
yes. So, one kid said that when they're sitting down and sharing a really important story with their parent, that the parent seems to be way more interested on something the parent deems as important on their phone.
Listen, as adults, that's distracting and it feels like you're not being heard. If someone is more interested in looking at their phone while you're in the middle of a story, 100%. That's a good one.
Yeah. So, and I think as parents, we say the same thing about our children sometimes is like, I can't get their undivided attention. They're always scrolling or looking through something as I'm talking to them. But I think as parents, we have to pay attention to it ourselves. Like, are we doing the same thing?
Exactly.
Right. And
It
we
go
might
right.
say, oh, it's more important because it's work or it's an email, but it's not. Like,
And when
put
your
the
child is
phones
trying to
away. Yeah.
when your child is trying to talk to you, there's really no excuse that warrants not giving them your undivided attention.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was an interesting one.
All right, what else?
All right. So here's one I have to say that I might be guilty of. And I want to, of course, I'm going to give an excuse. But all right.
Just give us the
Here's
information
what
first and let's see.
the kids say. Parents oversharing or sharing personal information about their child with friends or family.
Huh.
Maybe it's something embarrassing or private or something that their child is struggling with, and they're talking about it in a very casual way and maybe making light of it or joking about it. But what happens is that the child feels humiliated and that you've kind of overstepped a boundary, right? It was their private information. And now maybe they are questioning if they're going to come and talk to you again about this private information. So there might be some trust issues in the future
Right, about
because they felt when they were, betrayed. Like when I came to
sure.
you to share this, this was just between you and I.
So that goes to, do you, as a child or as a parent, have to preface everything by saying, "Please don't repeat this to anyone," or should that just be an understood between you and your child?
Yeah. I mean, I think
I
it
I
should
get
be
that.
understood.
Yeah, and I
Now,
get that.
I'm
I
going
mean
to give my excuse. 'Cause and again, this was not my child saying it to me, but I could recognize where in the past I might have, and it was probably in front of one of their friends
mm,
where and for whatever reason, when I look back, I was sharing something about my child, like, "Oh, yeah, that happened to" I'm just gonna say Johnny, Johnny also, because I was trying to make the friend feel comfortable or more comfortable and maybe not alone that, "Oh, this has happened to someone else before, and by the way, it's happened to my child too."
right. So did Johnny call you out on it, or was it
No, but when I look back, I'm thinking, why was it so important for me to make the other child, like the friend, feel more comfortable than my own child?
right?
So, I'm definitely learn will do differently
Well,
next
and
time
that's all
on
we
that
want. We
one.
just wanna make you more aware. And I've had experiences where people have said to me, "Oh, why didn't you tell me that?" when they find out a piece of information about my child, and because it wasn't my story to share is my response. I was trying to respect their privacy. But that's something new for me. There definitely have been times when I have probably overshared or shared unnecessarily, and not with any ill intention, just for the sake of sharing. And I think it's really important to keep in mind your kids' feelings and their privacy.
Yep. All right, here's another one. Repeating things over and over that you have asked your child to do,
Huh.
but not giving them the time to do it.
Okay, so is this like cleaning your room, or is this like put the water bottles away that are on the side of your bed, or is it like you have an internship you have to look for? Did you start that yet?
I'm thinking it's more like you have an internship. Did you start looking? Or at your credit card bill is due at the end of the month. Did you pay it?
Right.
Right. So, end of story, or whatever it is. Oh, I need you to call the doctor's office because I saw a charge or something about the health bill or whatever it is. But when you ask your child to do something, right? Give them the time to do it. So maybe set like, okay, by the end of the week, do you think that you would have time to call the doctor's office? I saw this charge on the credit card.
Right. And
And
leave it
then
alone.
allow them, right? Let it be. Not the next day. Did you call the doctor? Did you
Right.
call the doctor? So
I
maybe we
think
would
that's fair.
prioritize it like, oh my
Right.
God, I got to call the doctor like today. But we don't know what their schedule is. Maybe it's 2 days from now.
But I think that's where setting realistic expectations for your child comes into play, and being open and clear with what needs to be done. Let's just say this charge was on the bill from the doctor's office. It needs to be taken care of by Friday. Can you please put it in your schedule to take care of it? Then what happens if Friday comes around and your child hasn't done it?
Well, then the repeat reminder or the question, or then, maybe the next step is, well, you need to call today, or from now on, since you didn't call today and I'm going to have to pay for it, right? Then you say, you owe me this
Right.
amount of money. Or from now on, we're going to put all doctor's charges on your credit card.
See, I'm okay with setting the expectation as long as they also understand what the consequence is at the end if they don't follow through.
Yeah. But
So,
I mean, it could be something that doesn't personally affect the parent also, right? Like,
well, like an
did
internship,
you like an
like
internship or a
like
job,
choosing
or did you,
classes for next semester
right,
or studying for your SAT, or I know you have this big project. Did you start it yet? Did you do it yet? Where are you on it?
right. This,
Def-
not
right.
our, what is it? Not our circus, not our monkey? Or is it the other way around? Not our monkey, not our
I don't
circus.
know.
It's one way. I always mess it up.
But I am definitely guilty of SAT stuff. You have SATs. Did you do this? Did you do that yet? Did you start studying? Where are you on your problems? So that is definitely something I can do better at,
All right. Well,
letting my
we're
child,
a new year's coming up
a new
and
year. Yep,
add it
for
to the
sure.
list.
Yep.
All right. So we talked about the doctor and this medical appointment, but I'm going to just go there with this. But so when you go take your child to the doctor and there's some things you want to talk about your child, maybe don't necessarily do it in front of your child. So this is coming from a young adult.
Okay.
For example, they're
Well, I
suffering
wanna
with
just pause right
yeah.
there.
Yes.
You said a young adult. It also is a good conversation. At what age do you stop going to the doctor with?
I
Was
think
it
they were talking about it as this happened to me when I was a teenager. It
okay,
wasn't, this
got it.
happens right now.
Okay.
So, talking about acne and weight gain.
Mm,
So, if you're at the doctor with your teenager and you're still in the room with the doctor and your child at the same time, do not talk about their terrible acne or you've noticed a lot of weight gain in front of your child. Your child knows this, and now you're adding to their insecurity or their bad feelings about themselves by bringing it up to the doctor. Allow them the space to talk about it themselves if it's bothering them and they want to.
excuse yourself from the room, or hopefully, I know with our pediatrician, we're asked to leave the room for a certain amount of time as the pediatrician talks to the child. So, that's also a time that maybe they can address whatever issues they're having.
Right. And as we're talking about body image, for parents, when you're looking at yourself in the mirror or commenting on how you look, I look ugly. I don't like the way this sweater fits me. Oh, I gained a couple of pounds. Your
Absolutely.
children are watching
And
and
listening.
listening. And so they're going to start modeling that behavior for themselves.
And that's never too young. It doesn't matter how old your kids are.
Right.
Being a positive role model starts the day that they're born.
Yeah. Right. Like, we are negatively wired, and the things that we say to ourselves sometimes in our head should change towards the positive. That's something, we strive to work on, or at least I do all the time. But at least the words that come out of your mouth, like, wouldn't it be nice if your children heard you saying something really positive to yourself?
Oh, I love
Like,
this
God,
color. Oh, I look good in this.
I
My
look
hair
really
came out
good
great
today. I
today.
love this shirt. It looks very slimming on me.
Well, there
Or
you
I'm
go, though.
so
That's talking about body weight again.
true. Okay. Um, or like, I'm just so proud of myself, right? This was so hard and I figured it out.
Right. Something, yes.
Or wow, like that recipe I just used, that came out really good.
Right. It's what we have said before, competence, not praise, builds confidence.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So moving on to kids away at college.
Okay.
Parents constantly texting and checking their child's location. And so, how do they know about the location checking? Is then commenting on it, right? Like, oh, I see you were out till 2 a.m. last night, or I noticed you didn't spend the night in your dorm, right? Like,
Or
what?
your phone isn't charged. Make sure you plug it in.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. They're away at college. They've earned their space, you know, in college. To You've trusted them to leave your house to go live somewhere and figure this out independently.
And
So why are we checking
yes, I
on
know
them?
my mom had no idea where I was in college. She didn't know what time I was coming in, and here I am. I made it.
Right. So I know that we know this as parents. So I think we just have to continue to remind ourselves that because we have the luxury of our phones and Life 360 and Find My Friends or Find My iPhone, like, doesn't mean that we have to use it and use it in a way that in kind of invades our children's privacy.
And feels, I'm sure, a little stalkerish to them.
Right. So,
So, good one.
all right. What
Good reminder.
else? Okay. Managing your parents' emotions or feeling like as a younger person, so child, teenager, young adult, that you have to manage your parents' emotions. So, if
Example.
you yourself are dealing with something challenging and you are working on yourself, or you're frustrated, or you're sharing a big story that happened, then your parent, instead of just listening, comes back with a lot of their own feelings about what you've just told them. For
Okay,
example, fear, anger, whatever it is.
so you're talking about if a child is going through something and then the parent's emotions attach to what that child is going through.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Not if the parent is going through something. I think that was
Oh, sorry, I didn't make
no,
it
no, no, just
clear.
I just
I
wanted to
guess
make
it
that
could work that way too, that if a parent is going through something and a child, right,
you
is
shouldn't be leaning on your
seeing,
child
right,
for the emotional support. They are not
correct,
your
correct.
emotional support.
Because even if it's your own challenge as a parent, your child sees what you're going through. And so that alone is something they have to deal with, like
Right.
what their feelings are about that. Not be there to help you manage yours or regulate your feelings with your challenge.
Of course. But let's go back to what you originally meant, that if your child is sharing something with you, to keep your feelings in check and let them experience their story without your emotion
Right,
involved.
without your reaction. And this gets back to the listening, right? When they
Yep.
call you, or you sit down and have the conversation, or they get in the car after school or come home and they start in, and you're like, okay, you want me to just listen? Yes, I just want you to listen.
One
So
of my favorite questions.
zip it up, parents.
What do you need from me? Do you need me to listen? Do you need me to respond? Do you want to hear a piece of advice?
And it's
Yes.
hard.
It is hard. Listen, we've spoken about this recently where we've found ourselves in situations where we've had to bite our tongues and it worked for our child in that moment. They were able to figure things out on their own and you were really just a sounding board.
Right. All right. So here's another one. This one, I'm not sure how much our own parents had to deal with this because
Okay?
there was just different rules around our houses as at that time.
Let's
And
hear.
maybe our parents were at work and not
Okay.
paying attention. But so when your child brings home a friend of the opposite sex as a study partner or just over to hang out, the parents, so this is coming from a teenager's perspective, that the parent is making comments or giving looks that are indicating,
Mm,
is this someone you're interested in?
right. Is this a
Oh,
romantic
is
interest
this
or is
a
it just
boyfriend,
study?
girlfriend, or is
Mhm.
this just studying? And that's making both your child and the guest feel uncomfortable because they're sensing either the looks or the questions or the awkwardness that is happening from parent to child. But what this also leads into is we don't know, right? At a younger age, right? Middle school, high school, we have no idea what if gender even matters to our children or to kids and who they're attracted to anymore, right? Like
Yeah, yes,
it's
100%.
very different. And making assumptions as to whether your daughter is attracted to a boy or a girl or both seems to be the challenge, or what I'm reading in this conversation I had with this teenager
Okay.
is you're the parent making assumptions about what their child or who their child is attracted to.
Yes, that's a good one. That's important. And in this day and age, it's like you said, it looks a lot different than it did when we were their age.
Right. All right. And then I think the last one that I have, actually, I had two. So, generational differences, because the parent did things a certain way. Now, this could be talking about how they ran the house, rules in the house, or even when you're going out to work, whether it's a high school job or a career for a young adult,
Mhm.
once they graduate college and get a job,
Yep.
the parent thinking that this is the way that you do task ABC. And the child is like, well, that's not how I want to do it.
Right.
Or that's not how it's done anymore.
Mhm.
Or ABC is one option, but there's three other options now out there.
That's interesting because when you're giving your children advice based on what you did is likely to be so different for your child in the age that they're growing up. That's a good one. Keep that in
Okay.
mind.
And then this last one that I have is parents making choices for their children as if they are vicariously living through them.
Hmm.
So maybe that's, oh, you're going to play tennis.
Or you should join this sorority or take this class or
Or we're
You're
going to
not
go
giving up
shopping.
violin
Yeah.
yet, or
Yep. Or we're going to go shopping at this store.
Mhm.
So, choices that we make for our children because we think, oh,
It's
yeah, if they take this class or if they're on this team, this is going to better their chances
right.
that they're going to get into college or they're going to be able to make more friends.
I think that's something we see a lot with, athletes, with child athletes that I've spent many, many hours on fields, and the amount of times you see what looks like a parent living vicariously through their child as an athlete is astounding. So keep that in mind. Is it what's best for your child?
Right? Or did we really give them the choice, like the open-minded choice without coming with, "Oh, if you want, don't you want to do this because this like right, you're already stacking your reasons why your child should pick that choice that you want them to choose
Right. Okay.
or that you think would be best for them. But
All
nope.
right.
All right. So
So
that
that brings us to the conclusion of the advice we have gotten from our teens and young adults. If you think of anything else, let us know. And as you prepare to spend your holidays with your children, listen to them. Really listen. Ask them what they think. If they ask them if there's anything they would like you to do different.
yeah. And if you thought that any of these topics we talked about today were helpful for you, then please share this episode with a friend and have them give a listen too. We would really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.